Hi, everyone. We're just doing a couple of logistical items and we'll be starting in just a moment.
If you're just joining us, we're working on a couple of logistical things and then we will begin the webinar. So just a couple more minutes. Thank you. We'll be starting in just a couple of minutes. So just hang tight and we'll get the meeting started. Thank you. If you're just joining us, we're working on getting the PowerPoint up and we will be starting momentarily. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us and for bearing with us for a couple minutes of our logistics here, starting at the beginning of the meeting. I'm Melissa Zornita. I'm the Executive Director of the Hillsborough County City County Planning Commission, and we're thrilled to have you all here today to learn about our latest step in the process to update the City of Tampa's future land use section. This is one part of a much larger update of the city's comprehensive plan that we have been working on since 2022. Um, Many of you all have been with us along this journey and have been to some of the other meetings, either the public outreach or the city council hearings that we've had along the way. But where we are in the process is that we have done a lot of outreach on the update of the future land use. The future land use section guides the growth and development within the city of Tampa. So we've had a lot of interest in this particular section of the comprehensive plan. We've also gotten a lot of input from City Council through a number of different workshops and hearings, the latest of which was at the end of August. And in August, they gave us some very specific direction through a series of motions that outlined different actions that we should take. And that's what we're here to share with you all today. We have a new draft that came out in January of this section of that those different motions that City Council made. And we want to be able to explain that to everyone, answer questions. We're not in a position at this point in the process to continue making changes that staff wants to make. We are following the direction of City Council. We're going to bring it back to City Council on a hearing on February 17th. And it's really in City Council's court now to make additional changes. We had a meeting last night. We're hearing about some things that people might would continue to like to change. And so we are going to encourage you all to share those changes directly with city council members so that they can bring those changes up at the upcoming public hearing. There's plenty of time to continue making changes at that hearing. And beyond this, the hearing that is occurring on February 17th is to consider transmittal of the document to the state for their review. But changes can continue to be made throughout that process before we get to adoption of the document several months later. But we do believe that it's important for us to keep moving forward and get that state review. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Melissa Dickens, who will get started with our presentation. Thank you.
Actually, first we're going to have Erica Flores from our team go through a few housekeeping items so that folks know how they can send us questions. So Erica, I'll have you go ahead and go over that, and we have some information on the screen as well.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. As Melissa said, we're going to start with some housekeeping items. First, just a reminder that this meeting is being recorded. We will have a presentation first, followed by Q&A. At the bottom of your screen, you will see a Q&A icon. Throughout the presentation, you are welcome to put any questions into the Q&A box. And at the conclusion of the presentation, questions will be answered by staff in the order they were received. We'll read out each question before answering, and we'll do our best to summarize the answer within the Q&A box. If you experience any technical issues, please also use that same Q&A to alert staff. If for any reason the Q&A is also not working for you, we encourage you to please email Daniel Agbenu. He's also on the meeting as well. His email, I believe, is on the screen. And I'll give everyone a moment to note it or get a screen grab, but it's benud@plancom.org. And then next
Thank you,
slide.
everyone. And there we go. The PowerPoint worked. Sorry, we had it double exposure for a little bit, but if we could go back one slide just so Brandy, so that folks could see the Q&A. That slide is a little funky coming in, but down at the bottom is the email. If you're having issues with the Q&A, we will read the questions in order that they are received. So if you could please put it in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Next slide. Okay.
And additionally, if you're having any sound issues, here's some recommendations to ensure your sound settings are correct. So just make sure that your speakers, your headphones are plugged in and connected properly and not muted. If you're using Bluetooth headphones, make sure they're turned on and paired correctly. And there's also a feature on Zoom where you can test the audio through the audio settings that's at the bottom of your screen, and just make sure that you've allowed Zoom access to your device. So with that, I will turn it over to Melissa Dickens to get us started.
Thanks so much. And thanks everyone for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time out of your lunch hour. We're excited to share where we are with progress on the future land use section. As Melissa Zornita mentioned, we are hoping to use this meeting to share information about the recent changes that staff has made at both the direction of Tampa City Council, as well as a result of recent state legislation, Senate Bill 180. We'll also be going through, if any folks are joining us for the first time, a broad overview of what the comprehensive plan is, what future land use is, who's involved. Then we'll focus on more details about what is being proposed and changed. Then we'll go to our Q&A. We're already seeing some great Q&A come in. So please, as you have other questions, as we're conducting the presentation, go ahead and send those in and we'll read them out in the order in which they are received. Next slide. Okay, again, we're here to share what has changed since August in the latest round of the Tampa Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Section update. This is something that our staff, in coordination with City of Tampa staff, have been working on since 2022. We very much appreciate the support of Tampa staff as well as the community. We could not do this without the community input. And we have arrived now near the end of the process with a draft that focuses on choices, balance, and compromise and achieving long-term community goals. There are a lot of different places in Tampa, different folks in Tampa, and we have tried to arrive at a draft that speaks to everyone and incorporates feedback from the entire community. After we had a significant amount of outreach back in the summer, many of you all probably met with us in your neighborhood. We presented an updated draft to Tampa City Council. At that meeting in August, Council instructed staff to update the future land use draft in response to a series of Council motions. All of those Council motions are available on the Tampa Future Land Use Update page, and then also to comply with some legislation that became effective over the summer, Senate Bill 180. Next slide, please. Okay, so this may be familiar to some people who have been with us the whole time, but we're going to go into a little bit more about a comprehensive plan and how it's used. A comprehensive plan is the long-range policy document for a community. Every local government in Florida is required to have a comprehensive plan, so all cities and counties. And the comprehensive plan sets the general policy direction and guides growth in the city of Tampa over the next 20 or more years. It is adopted by Tampa City Council, and there are teeth. All rezonings, developments, and city projects have to be consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan. So that's a little bit about how it's implemented. We're talking today about the future land use section, but there are a number of other sections contained within the comprehensive plan, everything that would affect the future growth and health of a community. So things like parks, open space, mobility, there are specific comprehensive plan sections for each. And the comprehensive plan works to address trends and upcoming challenges, and it includes policies and maps that help the elected officials and the planners make decisions about the future. Next slide. Okay, this slide is a little bit blurry, but I think it's talking about who is involved in there it goes, in the comprehensive plan process. So a little bit about our organization, the Hillsborough County City County Planning Commission. The staff planners for the Hillsborough County City County Planning Commission do the work on the comprehensive plans for all 4 local governments within Hillsborough County, the city of Tampa being the subject of this one. We report to an appointed board that is made up of citizens that are appointed by all 4 local governments. Both our staff and that board make recommendations. So we are a recommending entity. Those recommendations then go to the City of Tampa City Council. The City of Tampa City Council has the final decision-making authority on comprehensive plans. And we coordinate closely with their staff, with the City of Tampa staff throughout the process. On the details, the comprehensive plan is implemented in things like the land development code. So we want to work closely to make sure that things are implementable. Also, you'll see another role or another agency that is involved in this process is the Department of Commerce. This is particularly important with respect to Senate Bill 180, the recent legislation. This text amendment will be sent to the Department of Commerce for their review. They ensure that it is in compliance with state law. And so that is one of the reasons that we have been working over the past several months to make sure that what we're sending to them will be in compliance with this new legislation. We couldn't do it without the folks in the community. So we want to say thank you to all of the neighborhood organizations, community leaders, and folks, residents of the city who have been involved in this process. We've also heard great feedback from business leaders and the development community. And we want to take this moment to recognize each of you for your involvement in this process. And thank you for your time and input. Next slide. So now we're going to talk a little bit about future land use. That is the subject of today's meeting. Future land use is one of the sections of the comprehensive plan, and it's what we're working on updating through this process. Future land use provides a long-term land use vision. It designates specific land uses. So where can businesses go? Where can stores go? Where can homes go? And at what densities and intensities? So how many units per acre can housing development be? That is governed by future land use. There are also policies that are within the future land use section to ensure compatibility, manage growth, and help protect resources. It is different from zoning. Many of you all may see land use issues come up through the rezoning or zoning process. The zoning process is a little more specific. The future land use section is much more high level, 35,000 feet look at land use. And the zoning is much more specific. So it's, things like parking requirements or setbacks, those are all handled through zoning. Next slide, please. So this is our adopted future land use map. It actually has been adopted again since the date on this slide, updated since the date on this slide. But this is what is in effect today in the city of Tampa. Each parcel within the city of Tampa has a specific land use, future land use designation, so a specific color on the map. And that tells the property owner, the planners, the community, what is the maximum density and intensity that can go in that area, what types of development can occur in that area. Those are all governed by those colors on the map. We are not proposing changes to those specific colors as part of this process, but we wanted to show what was adopted and in effect today. Next slide, please. So a little bit, if you're joining us for the first time, how we've approached the future land use update. This is back in 2022, we started a wholesale review and revision to the update, looking at streamlining, consolidating, and updating the language. We also worked with outside experts, consultant on this project to provide guidance on what may need to change. We also, again, worked very closely with city staff and community stakeholders. Outreach has been conducted at each of the phases of this update. And now we are at the point where we are responding to the council motions and Senate Bill 180 changes. Those have all been incorporated into the latest draft. The latest draft that is available on our website is color coded to show whether something was a council motion change, a Senate Bill 180 change, or was kind of a minor editing to tweak some grammatical issues or clean up. And the draft is now going to council on February 17th. That's a Tuesday evening. It's a special call meeting. So that is when it is scheduled to go before Tampa City Council. Next slide. And for those who have been joining for the first time, the community engagement has been absolutely critical to this process. We've been meeting with the community again since 2022. All in all, we've had about 45 separate meetings with both individual neighborhoods, community organizations, stakeholder groups, and we've met with about 1,500 people. And in particular, last summer, we had a number of outreach events in different neighborhoods and had 15 different meetings. We tried to use different tools to reach different folks throughout the city. So everything from surveys, an interactive map, a project website, lots of different tools to try to make sure that we're having the broadest reach possible. Next slide. It is coming in a little bit blurry, but I'm sure it will come in clear in a moment. The next slide is about the recent legislation. What is Senate Bill 180? Senate Bill 180, Brandy, would you mind clicking back and forth to see if we can get it a little bit clearer for folks who are logged in? There we go. Oh, there we go. Okay, thanks everyone for your patience. So Senate Bill 180, this is something new that if you were with us over the summer, we did not yet have a full understanding of all of the implications of this bill. It was passed right around the time that we were doing, or excuse me, it was signed into law right around the time we were conducting community outreach. So this law was passed in response to some of the major hurricanes that came through, and this law is very broad. It states that local government cannot adopt or propose language in a comprehensive plan that may be considered restrictive or burdensome. And we are hearing from other communities who are submitting plans that if a comprehensive plan amendment is found to possess any language, whether it's one little line, one policy, the entire plan amendment will be found null and void by that reviewing agency, the Florida Department of Commerce. So we did take a very careful look at the language. Jennifer, a little later in the presentation, is going to go into some examples of how we modified the language, but we wanted folks to know that some of the tweaks that you see, those are specifically to comply with this new state law. Next slide. And now I will turn it over to Jennifer for the remainder of the presentation. Thank you.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us again on your lunch break. I'm Jennifer Malone. I've been leading this effort with Melissa Dickens. What is being proposed in the updated future land use section? We have proposed a very simplified comprehensive plan, very simplified future land use section goals. We've reduced those from around 20 goals to 7. There's some new place types and a new bonus structure. This slide shows everything that we have updated throughout this process, but these top 3 bullets are what we're going to talk about today. Next slide. Okay, sorry everyone, unfortunately it's still a little blurry. Maybe we can go back and ahead again and maybe that would fix it. Okay, Still a little blurry, but I think that I can definitely still speak on this slide. The transit ready court. So since August 28th, we received direction from Tampa City Council, as Ms. Zorheda pointed out at the beginning of this meeting, on specific items that we had to address. Transit ready corridor bonus areas have been limited to the 8 corridors specified by council motion on August 28th. We have also designated certain corridors multimodal corridors to carry forward the adopted language about design on certain roadways. So if you're familiar with the comprehensive plan today, multimodal corridors are going to be very similar to transit. I apologize, all the acronyms, it is completely escaping me right now. Transit emphasis corridors in the plan today. So that language between multimodal corridors and transit emphasis corridors can be very similar. A lot of language has changed from require to encourage to retain the concept, but also ensure compliance with Senate Bill 180. More specific policy language, such as those related to locational criteria and townhomes in the residential 10, have reverted to the adopted policy language for compliance with Senate Bill 180. Next slide. Okay. Maybe we can go back and forward again. It's still very blurry. Thank you. Perfect. Okay. We had it for a moment. But I can still speak on this. This is just the goals proposed for the future land use section. On this slide, the very important goal 1 is citizen participation in the planning process. That's why we're here today. That's why we have everybody on this call, and it's the most important part. So it's definitely highlighted by goal 1. Next slide. Okay. Maybe Brandy, you can try going back and forward again. That seemed to fix it last time. It's still a little blurry. Perfect. Okay, keep it right there. Thank you. New place types. The place types are a way to categorize the city and direct growth to certain areas. Every place type is going to have some policy direction attached to it. Multimodal corridors is a new place type. Again, these are very similar to transit emphasis corridors in the plan today. These are going to promote design along these corridors and to enhance utilizing multiple modes of transportation. That they are outlined in Land Use Objective 2.2 proposed, stating that these shall promote standards to support a range of options for transportation and are suitable for redevelopment. Context-sensitive neighborhoods, those are the areas in the city that we've noticed are surrounded by very intense development and are feeling the impacts of very intense development in their neighborhoods. The policy direction in the plan is guiding these areas to have some special codes or regulations, some implementing language for design, so that way the areas surrounding them do remain sensitive to those neighborhoods. The transit ready corridor bonus area, those are the 8 corridors that Tampa City Council defined in their August 28th motion. These are the corridors that we do want to see, and we think that there is opportunity for more redevelopment and have proposed a bonus structure to incentivize that. I just want to point out on transit ready corridors, the ready is very important. The thinking ready and transit ready is a very important part of this concept. This plan is looking out 20, 30 years. And so it has to be ready for when we do have that robust transit system 20, 30 years from now. And a way to do that is to ensure that our corridors have the density to support. Another place type, this is in the plan today, but planning districts, this is a way to break up the city. We do have some policy language for some of the planning districts that are different than other areas. West Shore, Central Tampa, University, South Tampa, and New Tampa. These boundaries are not changing from the plan today. And finally, regional activity centers. These are the areas that we would expect the most growth to occur and that we have policy language or a future land use designations in these areas to support that. Transit supportive development areas. I think Danny Collins answered this question very well in the chat. but there's a specific definition for those areas. Right now, that's the streetcar, since that's our fixed guideway transit in the city. We also have a policy that lays out like trigger language for properties that would qualify as a transit supportive development area. And the central business district, that would be no surprise to anybody hopefully on this call that downtown Tampa is a regional activity center, and the area surrounding downtown Tampa, the central business district periphery, has a bonus attached to it to encourage development within that periphery. West Shore, the West Shore business area, again, a great economic driver for the city, and is almost all of it is regional mixed use 100, which is a very high future land use category. And then the new concept here is the Fowler Vision area. The city of Tampa and the Planning Commission conducted a study about 2 summers ago, and we have some specific policy language for guiding growth and development in the Fowler Vision area and some incentives there. So those have been codified and are in the proposed draft. Next slide. Thank you. So new bonuses. This is a new concept of the of the future land use section that we are carrying forward in this draft. The bonus structure is where we're hoping to incentivize high density and intensity development within the regional activity centers and a mid-tier bonus within those transit-ready corridors. There's also an affordable housing bonus, a green development bonus. We're retaining the existing bonuses in the plan for the Sonal Heights node bonus, the capital improvements bonus, and the central business district periphery. Bonuses are outlined and enabled in the comprehensive plan, but implementation and details will come later through some land development code language. Next slide. Thank you. This is a handy graphic showing how this bonus structure will be implemented. Some of the feedback that we received early in this process from the community was some flexibility within the development, flexibility within development standards. And the way that the bonuses have been structured is to mix and match. And it's kind of a choose your own adventure. Every future land use category will have a ceiling. So that ceiling we cannot go above that ceiling, but developers can decide if they want to maximize the utilization of their land through all of affordable housing, or through doing maybe a green development bonus and an affordable housing bonus, so on and so forth. The really important point here is that you cannot exceed that ceiling, and that is in the table within the future land use section. Next slide. This is the map of transit-ready corridor bonus areas. The pink is what is proposed based on council motion on August 28th, 2025. The purple are all of the corridors that were originally proposed when we went to council that evening. So the pink is what's proposed today. So as you see, we have Kennedy Boulevard, we have Dale Mabry Highway north of Kennedy on here, Hillsborough Avenue, Bush Boulevard, Florida, Nebraska, 40th Street. Those are just some of the corridors that were defined in that council motion. Next slide. Again, there's a lot of benefits to the bonus structure being proposed in the comprehensive plan. When developers seek a bonus, there will be a public benefit provided in the form of affordable housing or green development in exchange for more density. We're hoping that this will greatly increase the role of affordable housing. More future land use categories are included in the bonus structure than what we have in the plan today. This is going to encourage more housing options and choice and reduce the need for plan amendments. As Melissa Dickens stated earlier when we were talking about the future land use map, every parcel in the city has a color attached to it. And changing the color on that map is essentially permanent when we try to increase it. The bonus structure is going to provide a little bit more flexibility of what we can do within the context of that map, increasing some density without changing the entire color. Next slide. I think now we can take questions. Can we go to the next slide? Thank you. Yeah, so these are so the City of Tampa Coastal thank you. So um I can definitely go through these slides. The coastal development areas map is something that we didn't really touch on in this presentation. We are happy to answer any questions about it. There are not any changes based on council motion than what was seen this summer, except for one additional property. This is the future land use map. As I
Hi, Jen. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're doing such a wonderful job, and I'm trying to follow. Just wanted to see if you needed me to go anywhere other than the maps, because that's what was queued up for next.
No, that's great. Let's hold on the future land use map. I think this is a great holding place, and then we can start answering questions. I will turn it over to Erica Flores to read out the answered questions for the record, and then we'll go through what has come in during my presentation. Oh, yes, Erica?
Perfect. All righty. So we'll start with the answered questions again. So first question was, please clarify the change in language from TRC to multimodal corridor. If they are different terms, please explain the difference and provide an example of each.
Yeah, hopefully this was covered in the presentation. Transit Ready Corridor has a bonus attached to it, as well as a radius that bonus can be utilized within an eighth of a mile off of the corridor or within a 16th for those properties at residential 10. Brandy, if you don't mind going to the Transit Ready Corridor slide, the before and after. Thank you. Yeah, we can keep this one here. And then multimodal corridors don't necessarily have a specific bonus attached. There are still bonuses available on those corridors, but that language is really just hoping to, is really just guiding development to meet pedestrian-oriented design standards and for the design of the roadways and any new development to be designed in such a way to support multiple modes of transportation.
All right, next question. Did you say that changes can still be made after transmittal to the state?
I will read out Melissa Zoranita's answer to this, so just we have it for the record. Until the document is adopted at the adoption hearing, City Council can continue to make changes. Part of that process is after the hearing on February 17th. If City Council chooses to transmit to the state, which that does take a vote for transmittal, staff is going to put together a transmittal packet and then we send it to Tallahassee. The amendment will come back to City Council for an adoption hearing and then second reading and adoption. So between adoption and transmittal, we can have those minor tweaks. It will go back to the state again for a final compliance review, and it'll be effective 30 days after our package is complete and we have that ordinance.
Right. What defines a transit supportive development location? What is the difference between transit supportive development and transit ready corridor bonuses?
Yeah, Danny Collins did a great job of answering this question in the chat. I will summarize it and kind of provide a little bit more context. Transit supportive development is another way of thinking about transit oriented development, or TOD. Right now we have that in with the Ybor streetcar, that's our fixed guideway transit. We also have some language in the plan that would support this bonus being used with bus rapid transit if it has that fixed guideway, and other language that would support utilization of this bonus with a lot of transit, if transit planning has been done in that area and there's financing for it. The transit ready corridor bonus area are corridors that we did originally, the original full list. We worked with HART when we were identifying those corridors. They were in HART's transit development plan. They're areas that HART would like has transit on or would like to have in the future. And when we have more transit service, those corridors will be ready with density and intensity and increased options for housing.
Sorry, going back and forth. Okay, I see we answered another question with please relist the TRCs per Tampa City Council motion. And where will, okay, that's one question.
Okay, yep. The motion, just I'll read it into the record. Only for transit-ready corridors, Florida Avenue, Nebraska, Bush Boulevard, Hillsborough Avenue, Fowler east of I-275, Kennedy Boulevard, Dale Mabry north of Kennedy, and 40th Street south of the river. Again, just to be crystal clear, this is the list that was made by Councilman Clendenin and seconded via motion on August 28th. Any changes to this list of transit-ready corridors would be made by motion on February 17th.
And kind of in that same similar question from another participant was about the transit-ready corridors identified by the council motion and how it relates to the East Tampa CRP identifying neighborhood commercial corridors for streets 15th, 22nd, 29th, 34th, 40th, and Columbus Ave. There's concern from residents density will not be allowed, and this seems to go against what the East Tampa, sorry, things are shifting around, goes against what the East Tampa CRP wanted. So Nebraska and Hillsborough were kept. Can you talk about how the streets not included in City Council's motion will be impacted by density development?
Yes, this is a great question, and I really appreciate this knowledge and this expertise that the neighborhood has in relation to these corridors. The streets not included in City Council's motion, there will first of all, they already have future land uses, and I'm not looking at the future land use map, but there's potentially a lot of density and intensity available based on those colors that are already on the corridors. Potentially that's maybe perhaps underutilized. I would also say that there's still bonuses that can be utilized on those corridors. It's not the transit ready corridor bonus, but the affordable housing bonus, the green development bonus, the capital improvements bonus, those can all still be utilized in those areas. But we do recognize the importance of having that designation. Transit ready does mean a lot, and if it is important to the community, I would encourage you to let Tampa City Council know. Those members are, I know that they're taking feedback and they're listening. That way that they can make that motion to add any corridors back in on February 17th.
We got a couple of questions about where this presentation will be archived for replay along with access to maps after the meeting.
Great, yes. Melissa Dickens posted a response to that. We have a project page for the future land use assessment, but a really easy thing that everybody can remember is livegrowthrive2045.com. From there, you'll be able to link through to the future land use page specifically. But livegrowthrive2045.com is a landing for the entire comprehensive plan update. We'll be uploading this and the slides later on.
Can you tell us the section of the current adopted plan that has transit emphasis corridor language?
Yep, Danny did a great job of answering this, page 47 of the adopted comprehensive plan. That's the intro to the mixed use centers and corridors section that talks about the specific roadways that are transit emphasis corridors suitable for redevelopment and intensification.
How will these changes impact plan development applications?
We'll continue to review plan development applications for consistency with the comprehensive plan through the rezoning process.
All right, with the issues of water supply and the mayor wanting to use, quote, potty water, the loss of shade trees and the poor shape of the roads, etc., why are we adding more and more housing, most of which are for out-of-state folks at least in Tampa Heights, and not our modest citizens, Tampa citizens?
Another really great question. Melissa Zornita provided a great summary here, but we are required to plan for the projected population for the next 20 years. Melissa Zornita wrote, we are not trying to encourage more growth, just plan for what is projected to come to our community and try and focus that growth in areas that can better handle it. This goes back to the place types map. That was really a way of organizing the city into where we're anticipating the most growth and policy that can support that growth in certain areas.
How does this impact 50th Street off Hillsborough?
That's a great question. It's difficult to answer right now, but perhaps maybe in the Q&A, if we could maybe expand upon impacts how 50th Street off of Hillsborough, and then if I'm not able to answer it today, I'm happy to chat afterwards. I can put my email so it's handy, and then you can reach out to me.
What is the best way for the public to reach out to City Council before the 17th?
Um, uh, Danny Collins put the email to City Council. That is for the quasi box, but which is typically for rezoning. So I would encourage everybody to go to the Tampa City Council website on the map with your Tampa City Council members. You can click on each one and see who your representative is and their direct email. Melissa Zornita and Melissa Dickens also added emails to that question that would direct you to Tampa City Council.
If a neighborhood would like to encourage City Council to add back in certain TRCs, would it be best to encourage the entire corridor be added back, or certain parts of the corridor that only apply to a certain neighborhood?
I think that's really up to the neighborhood, and it's up to your conversation with City Council. I that's I will turn it. I think Melissa Zornita would also like to respond to that.
Sure. I think Jennifer, you're right on target. It really is up to the specific community or group of neighborhoods. There were concerns from certain parts of the community, areas like North Hyde Park, and parts of West Tampa expressed a number of concerns. For example, um, in the process, and that resulted in some of those east-west corridors through the city being taken off the map. But there may be segments like through East Tampa that perhaps the neighborhood wants to have added back in. So I think it's sort of a case by case basis on the roadway. You can see where council in their motion did that with roads like Dale Mabry or 40th Street, where they just picked up certain segments. So that's certainly something they can consider.
Can you speak to how capital improvement planning and land development code helps ensure we can support the additional home allowances proposed in the comprehensive plan?
I actually wonder if that is something if our city folks are on, if they might be able to speak more specifically to that. We can answer it generally, but it might be best to hear from someone at the city.
Oh, hello everyone. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Thanks for that question, Ali. So I think ultimately, these corridors, particularly these corridors that have been identified for the bonuses, are already well served by both multimodal infrastructure. So whether that be, roadways, many of them have good transit service already, sidewalks, etc., but also water and wastewater and all of the other utilities you think of when dealing with growth. So generally speaking, that our capital planning process, which really looks at infrastructure to ensure that we have the capacity for new housing or new development, is very much aligned with our land use planning efforts. So we're always working with our teams across the city, across the different city departments to plan. So they look at the future land use and they're constantly kind of thinking through their projections over time. So that's really how we ensure that. Now, from a land development code perspective, the code is in the process of update, a major update right now. There should be some more information being public starting, I think, next month in March. But really, with that, with the code, we're trying to create flexibility wherever possible, particularly within areas that are near or along corridors and in nodes where we already have pretty significant development. And the idea there is to really start to find ways to allow, some of the missing middle housing, whether that be more townhomes or quadplexes or, tris and duplexes, or even in the appropriate areas, larger, apartments and condos where that makes sense, which really is only at those major nodes. So those things are all in process and being discussed as part of the land development code. And so kind of once the comp plan's adopted, I would expect us to be moving forward pretty soon thereafter with amendments to the code to allow for the new bonuses. But the larger zoning update is still going to be forthcoming, and that'll be something that, you'd be looking for probably end of this year, early next year is what the current schedule is looking at.
And I see another question that popped up. I believe we answered it, but it'd be good to reiterate. Will this recorded meeting be available for residents who could not attend today to watch later? And will this PowerPoint be shared with us?
I can answer that live. Yeah, both the PowerPoint, excuse me, and the recording link will be available on the project page. It's been put into the chat response for other answers, but the both of those things should be available on our website within the next couple of days. And I think we're not, oh, thank you for the comment. Thank you for saying great. We are now really kind of at the conclusion of this meeting. Wanted to share a little bit more about what is next and how you can stay involved in the process. We had this meeting today. We'll post the recording for folks who weren't able to attend. We also had a great crowd last night at the C. Blythe Andrews Library. This section will then be going to formal review for by Tampa City Council on Tuesday, February 17th. They will then vote whether to transmit this amendment up to the Department of Commerce. As was mentioned in the Q&A, there are still opportunities for council to make tweaks following that transmittal. And then the state will send comments back to the Planning Commission, and then it will go for adoption in several months for final adoption. And I think this concludes our presentation today. We really appreciate everyone's time over the lunch hour and appreciate you bearing with us with some of the technology challenges that we had today. We were trying something new, so appreciate y'all's patience and grace. But again, you can go to livegrowthrive2045.com. That's our main comprehensive plan project page. From there, you can go to the future land use section, and you can also submit comments to planner@plancom.org. And with that, I think we can go ahead and close the presentation. We very much appreciate everyone's time and have a great afternoon. Thank you.